video, we're going to talk about scaling PPC. What you need to do it, why, furthermore, and more importantly, it's important to scale your PPC. Why? Why is it important to scale your PPC? Because you're not growing your PPC, you're in the process of dying, okay? This is very similar as business and as a whole. You want to, the people that I talk to small business owners all the time, talk to thousands of them in the last 10 years, I would say, altogether, or at least many hundreds. People that do the worst are the people that are trying to be just big enough to have a decent enough life, make a decent amount of money to get by. That works pretty good for a while until you run into a jam, and then when you don't have money on deck to take a hit, you're done. You don't get a second chance at that point in time. You're just done. So, and if you go around and were to audit, the businesses that went out of business, they mainly all tell you they ran out of money. Or they didn't have enough money, they weren't enough funded, or weren't funded well enough. If you go ahead and you search it online, most common reason for business failure, ran out of money. Of course, that comes down to poor management. Without management itself, a major part of that is their business could not endure a hit. They couldn't endure a hit to their business. In other words, a hit in revenue, and come out the other side smelling like roses still at the end of the day. You got to be able to, because there's going to be a point in time when there's an issue with your business, you can't deliver, therefore you're going to take a hit in revenue. Or inevitably, the economy is going to turn around, there's an industry change, things change a little bit. Forget about technology changing and not being prepared for that in terms of how people buy the product or services you deliver in your market and not pivoting that way. That's a whole separate issue. But the economy changes. They have half the sales they used to have 6 months ago. People that were sitting pretty, they were fine enough with money that had coming in, they weren't going to invest in anything new because they were happy with where things were at. Suddenly now they're not profitable anymore. So they start making cuts, and that cuts decreases morale in the business, then people start jumping ship, your key employees start jumping ship, you're in a downward spiral now that you can't get out of, and boom, you're out of business. Your advertising is very much similar to that scenario that I just described. Once you're going, if something some outside force in your business causes your sales to go down because your marketing is going downhill, there's a point where, like, you're going into a black hole where you're going to be drugged down, and there's a point where it's just too late. You're not going to defy gravity, and you're done. If you don't want to risk going out of business, you need to constantly be going upwards, so that if something happens to where your sales aren't so easy to get, i.e. you've hit a recession, you're now just kind of staying even versus going down. Because that's the reality. So with that said, I'm going to explain a few more reasons why you're not growing or dying, at least when we're talking about PPC directly or specifically here, to encourage you to operate your business, even if you think things are going good now, to not always be growing it because you have to if you're going to survive. With scaling your PPC, for the most part, I tell people all the time, it's not even worth it to do PPC in the first place if you're not planning on scaling ads. Why? Because it takes so much work and effort to get everything just right, set up just right, to get an ROI on a starting small amount of ad spend, several thousand a month, whatever is small to you, that unless you're going to scale the ads, it doesn't even make sense the time and effort and money it takes to get it working in the first place. Because I'll tell you what, right up front, if you don't already know it, it's not going to take 15 minutes starting up a Google Ads account and making profitable ads for your business unless you're selling something that's super high demand and low supply. it's not going to take that. It's going to take a lot of effort, getting just a lot of money hiring high-end people to get it actually that really know what they're doing, not 9 out of 10 people that are in marketing services that are scams. That's essentially how the entire market's set up. 90% of the money, take your money to go find another client and do that endlessly. The money invested to get a working model set up in your business that can turn $1 into $8 or $10, whatever you need, that's not going to come cheap, and you're going to actually lose money at the beginning just to make it happen. To really make sense of that loss, that hit you're going to have to take up front to get it working on a small level, unless you're going to scale the ad spend 10x what you started with, I pretty much can just tell you, don't even waste your time with it. You're not going to like the return that is set up for you on the back end if you're not going to scale. The scaling, though, it's like insurance against what you've set up, lasting, but also in your business, so that you can take a short-term hit in your sales because you've got now stockpile, you've got reserves of money coming in from your ads, consistently getting more and more efficient and scaling more and more. But also, like I'm going to talk about, because you're not operating in a vacuum, there's only so many customers that are coming through online, through Google, on an ongoing basis, and some people are going to get them, other people are not. And if your competition's trying to get those customers, you're sitting here fat and happy, going on vacations, screwing around with a bunch of women, whatever, you're going to be left behind. That person who's not pissing his time away on all this other stuff, or her time away on all this other stuff, is going to get a bigger and bigger chunk of those customers coming through Google or what have you, wherever you're getting customers from online, to the point where you're not noticing it. They're chipping away at your customer base more and more and more. Eventually, by the time you realize it, and you're in a situation where you know you need sales revenue, you have time to react, you don't have money to react, then you're bust. So I'll put all that in a frame of reference as best as I can for you today. Hopefully this shakes some sense into you. If you aren't taking seriously what you're doing and you're not actually already scaling your ads, because it's just as much of trying to make it worth it to run PPC, where the big bucks come from and are possible. Anybody can get the big bucks, the millions, but just stay in business along with it. So with that said, I'll get into the content. So business in general, like I mentioned, businesses don't do well anymore. When you want to be just big enough, as the barrier to entry just to get into business, online business, running a website, marketing a website, is so high and keeps growing every year, what is required to do it, that if you're not constantly trying to squeeze out the full value from your online business, you're not going to be able to afford with the maintenance and the upkeep and the growing demands of managing an online business to run it properly. So in other words, one example is security. Every year it takes more to secure a website because there's more hackers, the black market for stolen ad accounts and websites that are hacked, and all that keeps growing every year. You have to now have somebody who, if you don't know anything about web security, you got to have a web security specialist that not only knows how to give you an audit, but continuously keep an eye on your website for all the stuff that changes. You're running a WordPress site, every year that needs to be updated, and you got to go through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure it's secure, so on and so forth. Creating password policies, hardening your website in general, and if you hire a shitty person, you get what you pay for. Every year, the requirement to secure your website gets a little bit more. So if you're staying here, and every year it costs more to secure your website and do all this other stuff to manage your website, and those people that are paid the big bucks to do that kind of security work or whatever keep getting paid more and more, unless you're growing at least as fast as inflation, but probably more than that, you're not going to be able to afford to keep up the cost of maintaining that online business, and you're going to make a big mistake at some point, and it's going to fall apart. Just to give you a major example of that, I see people all the time who had a perfectly good $2 million a year business. They tried to hire a website. Their website eventually was too old to be credible, so they had to redesign their website. They hired some ridiculous website design firm who did not tell them about 301 redirects, meaning that they changed the URL structure on their website so that the web pages you used to go to, the address for those web pages were in a different place with the new website. They didn't know anything about that and how that affects your organic rankings. They were living off, half of their sales were just living off of organic rankings that they got from getting into business online 15 years ago. They lost all their organic rankings. They took a 50% haircut on their sales overnight. They couldn't withstand the hit. They had to fire all their people. Boom, done. One mistake, one. It could have all been avoided if they didn't have to hire the shitbag website design firm to start with. And they wouldn't have done that if they weren't just trying to get by. Oh, what's the matter, man? Let's just hire somebody that's good enough, man, so I don't have to try to think about how to grow my revenue, man. And then you find out the hard way, and once you've already made the mistake, there isn't no taking it back. That mistake I just described, once you've done it, Google, and you haven't reversed it within like 3 or 4 days, you're done. Okay, your rankings are gone. Paying the proper price to hire the right person to undo it, too late. I've seen this happen probably a dozen times in the last 10 years specifically, and that's just the people I talk to. You know, I know it happens all the time. So you got to have proper people consulting you on an ongoing basis about all the technical sides of running an online business, from security to marketing to SEO, to ads, website design, conversion rate optimization, website hosting, all this stuff. And most people aren't going to know all of that themselves. They can't. It's too complex. And if you aren't continuously growing your revenue, so you can hire better and better people all the time, you're just going to get left behind. And then you're going to eventually make one of those big ass mistakes that are just going to drop your entire business. So making enough for a solo venture means you can't afford a real marketing expert to help you out. Only people that pretend and are telling you what you want to hear, which is, I can make your sales go up with a tiny bit of money. Just give me my $500 a month and I promise you'll make all these sales. And then when it doesn't work, what do people do? They hire the next $500 a month guy. That doesn't work. Then what do? They hire the next $500 a month guy. And that doesn't work. And then they get to me, and because I say I guarantee the results, and then they say, well, why is it $4 grand a month? That's ridiculous. I've never paid that in my life. The $500 a month guy never intended for it to work. It was a scam from the get-go. It's not a legitimate price to get a legitimate job done with your advertising. It's just not. Sure, like I said, you might get lucky and find the 1 in 100 guys charging that. That's excellent. Probably not going to get lucky, and you can't afford to test out and go through all the losers to find the person who is undiscovered or what have you. So, can't afford the right people. The people you have helping you is going to get worse every year versus better because the requirements keep going up. Okay, now when we're talking about PPC and scaling and all that, top of Google, you got your ads, right? Google itself is constantly testing the Google ads that you're running, or PPC ads that you're running. They're constantly looking for, because there's 4 ads at the top of Google. If you're in a competitive market, there's probably 8 to 10 people cycling in and out of those top 4 spots, constantly looking for 2 things. Ads with the highest click-through rate, ads with the highest conversion rate on the traffic that's going through the ads. Why? Because they want people to get a good experience, so they go back to Google in the future to click on ads. You may have a good click-through rate and a good conversion rate. Now, what about next year, the year after it, the year after it? You're assuming that you don't ever have to improve and nobody else is going to ever figure out and reinvent themselves and beat the ads and the landing pages that you have to send traffic to. That's a really, really ballsy move. If somebody does that, they now are going to chip away at part of the customers you did have through Google. Second guy does that, third guy does that. By the time you realize why your sales are going down, and all this new competition that's sprung up over the last 3 years, and you need another $50,000 in terms of reinventing yourself on Google Ads to the time of setting up the ads the right way, and then ramping up the new ads and everything else, because it isn't just a switch where I can come in and put a new ad and then bang, you quadrupled your sales. It's already too late. You needed the 50 grand, you don't have it now, you're done. Okay? I've seen this over and over and over again. In fact, at my agency, my ad agency, about a third of the people that come to me at my agency, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody to talk to me. I'm fine with it. I'm just telling you so you learn from other people. About a third of the people, they're coming to me and they're at death's door with their business because the ads that used to work don't work anymore, and they waited until their ads stopped working to try to fix it, and then the money it takes to fix them, they don't have anymore, they're done. Don't do that. When you are making money, the best time to invest in your business is when you're already so busy and that you have more money coming in than you can spend. That's the time to invest in your business. Not when you have no money left, mainly because the window of time it takes for you to recover from ads that used to work and now need to work and needs to be better is months, 6 months, 12 months a lot of times, plus it takes tens of thousands of dollars in ad, running the ads for the machine learning that Google's doing, if you're talking about Facebook, that Facebook's doing, to find out how to run the new ads. The time to do this isn't when you're already in a dire situation. You also got to keep in mind the competitors that you have. They're not operating in a vacuum in terms of their business operations. They're consistently figuring out how to get more from a customer than they had before. Cross-selling, upselling. They are able to put more inventory on their site, improve their product quality or service quality so they can charge more for it. Ultimately, whoever gets the most lifetime value from a customer off of Google can pay the most for a customer. Well, when you got those 8 people that you're competing against in Google Ads constantly trying to get their lifetime value to be higher, we'll say, for argument's sake, half of them are, half of them aren't. Half of them are lazy and they're not going to try, half of them are. Well, that half that are, that's just enough to push you completely out of the way because they can bid higher than you are today 3 years from now when they figured out how to get twice as much from a customer than they did before. So now they can pay twice as much for a customer. You can't. And the time it takes for you to reinvent what you can do to get more from a customer isn't the amount of time you have to get your sales revenue back up to pay for all your overhead, your rent, your staff. You're done. So scaling your PPC is more so a survival strategy than it is you're trying to get greedy and make a ton more money. Because you can obviously do that, and that helps justify it. But there is no good enough with your ads. Either going to continuously self-improve to deal with people that are also trying to self-improve, and that the cost of running an online business goes up, and you keep up with it, or you're left behind. There is no middle ground. That's it. Sorry. And you can look at it as, oh, I only need so much to get by. I'm not a greedy person. Or you could look at it as, I have to constantly work as hard as I can because my competitors are trying to kick my ass at all times. And if I don't do this, they are going to kick my ass. And that's the proper way to think about your business and what you're doing on Google Ads with the PPC to stay in it and make it work for the next 10 years and have a wonderfully successful business for yourself. On every ad account that I'm going to run, 10% of everything we are spending is going directly into a new experimental campaign, knowing that it isn't going to work for a long time, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, but it will eventually work once we've spent enough money in testing to gather enough customer data for it to start being profitable. And then once that's working, we immediately start something else new. And you should be constantly running your own operation, your own ads, your own ad program the same way so that it constantly improves. And when you have extra money left over, or if you want to say 10% of your ad budget goes to new campaigns, 10% of or you want to say 1% of all your company's sales revenue goes strictly into making your website better and better, because your competition is going to be doing that. And even if it's converting well enough today, if you put that into a fund so that you have money on deck to make your website, not where you're desperate and you're trying to get it done for cheap and therefore it doesn't work, but you do have to update the website. It's plenty of money to make the best website in your niche. For me, I'm not going to settle for anything else than trying to be the best person on that Google ad space in terms of click-through rate and conversion rate. Conversion rate wise, having the best website that's the most trusted, intuitive, professional, beautiful looking website. Because if I do that, things are easy for me. Google wants to promote us the most. They want to give us the most clicks. They want to give us the best quality clicks. They give the person who does the click-through rate and the conversion rate the best out of all the ads, the best clicks. They pretty much know who's going to convert for the keywords you're targeting before they ever search, because they tracked users for years before they ever made that search. And they give the good people that have done a good job, they know about the most, the best traffic, and the new guy that's going to be in and out in 90 days, they're giving them all the shitty traffic. You want to be on the other side of this equation, where they're wanting to support you versus just go someplace else. You're not doing a good job for our users, go away. They're pricing you out of the market. And you're always shooting for number one. Even if you're off a little bit, you're still okay. If you're trying to go for middle, you don't have, it's very easy to end up on the other side of that equation, and now Google's really trying to get you to go away, if you get my drift here. Now, in terms of scaling though, a lot of people, if they're trying to scale their PPC ads, they are way too optimistic about it as well. This is a long-term play, optimizing and growing Google ads. Now that said, first 1 to 3 years of starting up a Google Ads program for your business, you can consistently get about 100% year-over-year growth. That's about 10% a month of growth in your profitability of your account. Okay, that sounds like a lot, but you'd be surprised how many people think they're going to be able to get 100% year-over-year growth or 100% growth in like 2 months of starting up their ad account, and then get it every 2 months. Why? Because that's just what they want. And if it were that easy, everybody would have a website and everybody would be rich. Okay? What separates you and the other 90% of people who tried and failed is you understood that this is a process, that 10% month over month growth means in 7 years I'm going to have a several $1 million a year business that makes me 500 grand worth a year profit just for myself, and I earned it, versus trying to get the same thing done in 4 months. It's not that easy, but 100% year-over-year growth, very simple to do. 3+ years, or 3 year, 4 year, 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, and beyond, 30% year-over-year growth. So it's if in terms of business growth standards, 30% year-over-year growth is really good. But a lot of people just think the ads is just like magic. Like, you just get the right ad guy, they're going to triple my sales overnight after the ads are already pretty well optimized. Now, even if the ads and the stuff I talk about on this channel can triple your results, it can. But you still have to put it into motion, and the algorithm's got to recognize it's better and give you credit for this, and this takes months and months and months to get the return on. Everything runs in slow motion. You want to put the right foundation in place so that the ad systems recognize how good it is, wants to promote it, all of that, and then once they do that, you put something else into place that will eventually figure out and give you credit for it, and you keep that going and parlay one thing into the next and the next. But it all isn't going to happen overnight. Machine learning and the algorithms that run the ad systems on Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, it all runs very slowly. But the truth always comes out. They always find out that your ads are either good or they're bad, and they want to promote them more and give you credit for the lower cost per click and all that, or they don't. And if you just go in with, I'm going to reinvest 10-20% of my profit into making this system better on an ongoing basis, you're going to not only be number one in your market, because very few people in your space will make that investment instead of spending it on a new Porsche payment for a second wife or girlfriend. You're going to be out ahead, and you're going to stay ahead. as you continue to scale. You'll put so much distance between you and your competitor, you just won't be able to catch up. But anyway, if you are generating 10 grand a month in sales off of Google Ads this year, next year at the same time it should be 20, the year after it should be 40, and then you should be able to consistently grow at 30% a year after that. That's a very conservative estimate. Yes, I've done more than 100% year-over-year growth before. But to not get disappointed, okay, that's pretty good estimates there, 100% year-over-year growth for the first few years. And then it's more so like 30%. And obviously depends on competition. If there's basically no competition in your space, first year, second year, third year, you can get 300 to 1,000% year-over-year growth. You know, heavy competition, 100% is more realistic. That is, just to be clear here, on the same ROI that you had before. So if you need an 8-to-1 return, you got an 8-to-1 return on 10 grand, or 8-to-1 return on, and with 10 grand worth of sales the first month, your year-over-year growth of 100% taking you to 20 grand a month in sales the next year at the same time, that's assuming the same ROI that you had the previous year. Obviously, the lower ROI that you'll accept, the faster you can grow. Problem is where people want super fast, light speed growth with maintaining the ROI. Why? Because they can finance the growth with the sales that come in. And the people in your space that you see growing super fast, they usually have investor cash funneling into the business. They're running at a loss. To grow it profitably, where you're bootstrapping, profit coming out is going back into the ads. It's 100% year-over-year growth is going to grow it profitably. And then the less profitable it is, the quicker you can grow it. All right? Makes sense? So it should always be your goal to consistently think, what can we do to test the ads, the landing pages, new traffic source to get your whole ad funnel that you're set up for your business, new ad network. We aren't running ads on LinkedIn. Let's try doing that, whatever. To get things to continuously grow, so you are getting your 30% year-over-year growth from your ads, or 100% if it's early on at the same profit or ROI that you have now. But do it for, if you aren't thinking that you're a greedy person, do it for no other reason that once you think you do need it, the amount of money and time it takes to dig yourself out of the hole you're in, you aren't going to have it. Take my word for it, because I see these sad stories all the time. Should have contacted me 6 months ago. You didn't. Now you're skeptical. Basically all the money you have, you have to bet on what I'm telling you to do. They're not willing to do it. Then they're just out of business anyway. But really, it was almost too late anyway. So anyway, scaling PPC. That's some basic anecdotes that I wanted to share with you here today. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. And I will answer any question that you have about this topic or any ad-related question. I'm more than happy to give back to my viewers, just for saying, as a thank you for watching the channel and helping the channel grow. If you like the video, I'd appreciate it if you give back and give it a like, though, so it can help spread the word, as well as you should consider subscribing to this channel, as this channel gives you the information you need to be successful with your online advertising, coming straight from the source and somebody who manages just dozens of ad accounts on an ongoing basis to give you the winning information I'm giving you on this channel about what works and what doesn't work. It's practical information you can rely on, because I'm not just speculating like other channels do. They're not out there in the trenches 40 hours a week doing ad strategy like I am. Therefore, this is the channel you actually want to pay attention to if you want to make millions of dollars running ads for your business online, on Google, Facebook, or any other place online where you can run ads. So you should subscribe. And this maybe, but if that's your goal, you should damn well subscribe to this channel. Furthermore, I also have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog. If you want to know how to make money through running ads, that blog has a lot of visuals, a lot of tutorials on it, and I would also recommend checking out. I also have a column over at entrepreneur.com that I write as well, if you want to stay on top of things about what's going on, new things that are going on in the PPC world, and so forth. That said, I run an ad agency here. I do ad strategy, as I mentioned. I can work with you to get your sales to increase on your ad campaigns on autopilot and not charge any fees until you get more sales and more profit from your current ad spend. The catch is, you gotta have something great that I would like to work on, but if you do have something that I know I can knock out of the park, more than happy to give you some initial results on your campaigns before charging a fee, and the fee we charge is gonna be, you'll be already making more of that in additional profit before we even would charge you the fee. We do not charge a fee if we can't get you that promised amount of results for your campaigns up front. This is something that we do that's unique, that nobody else does in the whole ad management industry, showing you how good our strategies work on this channel and how we execute. The only catch is we've got to know we got to have something we can get good results on, but if you want to see if we can work together in that kind of capacity, simply reach out to my firm at guaranteedppc.com and I'd be more than happy to have a quick conversation with you about it to see what's possible with what you're doing. As a side though, if you're not looking to work with an ad agency but you want great results, you should use the ad templates that we've already developed for your market if we've worked in your market before. That is, if we've worked in a different geographic area, but in your market already, such as if you're in the plumbing market, we've worked in that space, you're in a different geographic market than our client or past client, you can just use all the ads, landing page templates, campaign templates for that market and just copy and paste them into your account and get the same exact results we were getting with none of the work. All you would have to pay is for those templates a one-time fee and get the same fantastic results that we got and spent millions of dollars of ad spend to figure out how to get those results. It would make no sense to not use our templates if you're starting out, because it shortcuts all of the work that we had to do to figure out the best ad, best landing page, and so forth for your market. So anyway, if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I'll tell you if we've worked in your market, what results we've gotten in it. If you're looking to start another business, starting from the ad templates that we have, where you could sell a product, e-commerce product online that you could easily source, start a lead generation business where you're selling leads to people in an industry to start a passive income business. It's all available through the templates that we have. You can inquire about those at guaranteedppc.com as well. But I'll wrap it up with that though. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It made a lot of sense for you, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later.